What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Okay, we're going to get controversial today. I'm going to break down what I believe are three of the most overrated books about money, about investing, about finance, whatever. Overrated books. And they're probably books that you have been recommended to read 100 different times. So I'm just going to save you the time and the trouble, tell you don't bother. And then, because I like you, I'm going to share with you what I believe are three of the most underrated books about money. So stick around for that. Number one. Okay. Let's get right into it with what I believe to be the most overrated book about money of all time, which is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, here's the thing about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is this book is pivotal for a lot of people. I'm not taking away from the fact that this is the book that transforms the way a lot of people think about money. And for that, it is certainly not overrated. It is a light bulb shift moment when a lot of people finally realize that they are trading their time for money, and that is no way to get wealthy. That instead, what you have to do is acquire assets. And the fundamental concept of the difference between an asset and a liability makes this book worth the price of admission. That right there, that one concept. But the reason I think this book is overrated is that really what I just told you right there, that you need to understand the difference between an asset and a liability. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. For instance, your car, that takes money out of your pocket every month. You have a car payment, you have insurance, you have repairs and maintenance. It's not making you money. So you paid $10,000 for that thing. It is a liability. Now, technically, it might show up on your balance sheet as an asset because you could sell it and make money. But the more impactful way to think about it is that that is taking money out of your pocket. So therefore, that is a liability. Now, how would we transform that into an asset? Well, we would take that car and we could use it as an Uber driver. Right now, if I'm out there driving around, it's helping me make money. Now it's an asset. So that one fundamental mental shift right there is all you need to get out of this book. Now, that's if you read this book and you had no idea of what I just told you, then that's the first time you've ever experienced it. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was very valuable to you. But the reason I don't love this book is beyond that one concept, which most people could grasp within just a minute of it being explained. So therefore, the rest of the book is kind of unnecessary. Beyond that, the book is too high level and vague to be useful on a day-to-day basis. Beyond that one concept of assets and liabilities, you don't really get anything else out of this book that you can go and implement. So that is why I believe Rich Dad, Poor Dad, while being transformative for a lot of people, and they will cite it as the book that changed their life, I believe it is overrated when it comes to money. Book number 2 is The Millionaire Next Door. So this book is very interesting. They did a study of thousands of millionaires in the United States, and they looked at generalities and trends amongst them. And what they found was that the average millionaire in America doesn't look how most people think they do. They actually have a pretty nominal income. They make maybe $40,000 to $60,000 a year. They don't make a ton of money, but they are millionaires because they've been saving for decades. And so the most important aspect of becoming rich or becoming a millionaire is what they found is the ability to live below your means on a modest income and put away money towards your retirement for decades. If you do that, you will become a millionaire. Now, the reason I think this book is overrated is that, yes, if you save money for the next 40, 50 years, you will become a millionaire. But does that really help you win the money game? Is that really the life that you want to live, is to be rich someday, to live on pennies now so that someday you'll be a millionaire and whatever that means and you're too old to really enjoy it and do anything? No, I think like most people, they want to win the money game now. And so, yes, looking at this and saying, well, if you were to save money for the next 50 years, you'll be a millionaire. Cool. But what about today? What about next year? What about in the next 5 years? So that you can live life on your terms and not have to worry about what happens if you get sick and you don't make it 50 years from now. What if somebody gets injured in your life and you want to help them out and you just don't have the money, the financial resources? So like this book, yes, it's true. Most people will become millionaires on a long enough time frame, but it's the wrong strategy. If you're listening to a podcast like this, it's the wrong strategy for getting wealth in any kind of time frame in which you could actually use it in a useful way. So that's why I believe Millionaire Next Door is overrated. Third book is called Money, Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Now, I actually don't know how much this book really gets recommended. I've seen it a few times from a few different places. Tony Robbins is big. I love Tony Robbins. He's got some great content, great books. This book is a dumpster fire of just generalities, very basic level. It's so basic as to not even be useful. It's a big book too. Like I full disclosure, I'm a bit of a completionist. I'm a weird autistic person who, like, once I start something, I can't stop until I finish it. That's how I am with books. I can probably list on one hand the number of books that I've started over the course of my life that I quit. Like, it very, very rarely happens. This is one of those books. I stopped like a third of the way through. I was like, I just can't do this. This is killing my brain cells. And so Money, Master the Game by Tony Robbins, don't bother with it. All right, now here are 3 books that I think are underrated in the grand scheme of things when it comes to money and investing and finance. The first one, I've mentioned this before, is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This is, I think, a more useful version of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think he covers a lot of the same concepts, but he covers them in a deeper way and in a more diverse way so that you can actually take this information and apply it. Whereas Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it stays so high level as to be unuseful to me. So The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Number 2 is The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by Jack Bogle. Now, Jack Bogle, the Bogleheads, right? He's the guy that started Vanguard and brilliant investor, brilliant business person. He's the one that really kind of like popularized the idea of a low-cost index fund. And this book, Little Book of Common Sense Investing, it really just anybody could read it, and it's a strategy that literally everybody should understand because it's probably the way that 99% of us should be investing. So go and read the book. You'll learn all about the strategy, how simple it is, and how you can be doing it right now. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Third book is The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason or Clason. I don't remember how to pronounce his name. This is a really old book. It's very thin, it's very small. It's like a pamphlet, and I love pamphlet books when it comes to like learning these concepts. Like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Money, Master the Game, those could have been pamphlets, and yet they made them like way too long. Anywho, Richest Man in Babylon will outline 10 core concepts that you need to understand if you want to win the money game. The reason I like this book is it's written in the form of parables, so it's very easy to consume, right? Not a lot of math or anything. You can read through it and go, okay, I understand how to apply that concept. Number 2, literally, I don't care how successful you are, how you run a business, or like if you're dirt poor. These 10 concepts are fundamental, regardless of how well you're doing in the game. If you understand these, you will use them all throughout your life, such as the concept of PIF, pay yourself first. If you don't know what that means, go read that book, Richest Man in Babylon. It might be the most important idea that you learn when it comes to winning the money game. So those are 3 books that I think are overrated and 3 books that I think are underrated. I'm curious though, what do you think? Have you read these books? Which one do you agree with? Which ones are overrated? Which ones are underrated? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you enjoy this and you're watching on YouTube, where we have blown up over the last couple of months and a lot of you are new subscribers and that's awesome. Love it. But did you know this is also an audio podcast? You can go check it out on Spotify. You can check it out on iTunes. You can listen to it in the car as you're working out, taking it on the go. We do a daily episode and we've done it for 2 years straight. So go subscribe and listen on the podcast, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.